Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the Hayden Coker Show. It is official. We have gotten through week one of college football. A bunch of good games this past weekend. Starting off Colorado and TCU. Insane there. That was a heck of a game. But thank you, everybody, for joining me again. This is the Hayden Coker Show brought to you by J&K Tire. They'd like to let you know that they are happy to sponsor the Hayden Coker Show. And the next time you go see Kurt at J&K Tire, you can mention the Hayden Coker Show and you will get $10 off of your next purchase. That is right. Mention the Hayden Coker Show and you'll get $10 off your next purchase. But yeah, Colorado and TCU, fantastic last week. And let me just tell you, I did not get to watch the game full, like all the way through while it was live. So we were dove hunting, we were dove shooting, and I killed some birds. I did all right. But I got to watch it again this afternoon. I recorded it, so I went back and watched it again. And for those of you who do not know the name Shedeur Sanders, you need to know his name. He's freaking good, man. He looked fantastic. Looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12, or that he could be anyways. He looked fantastic. You had Travis Hunter as well, who looked really well, who looked really good. Dylan Edwards looked fantastic too. Can't forget his name. Played at running back. And then you had Henderson, who played really good at running back as well. Yeah. Colorado is loaded with talent right now, and the sooner people realize that this team might actually be legit, the better, because this is actually a really good team, and that is something that I really enjoyed seeing was Dion and the Buffaloes taking the field. And once they took the field, it was just like they never looked back. You know, their defense did look shaky. Their running game, yes, it did look shaky. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, that is going to be a good football team within the coming years, and that is going to be a good football team this year. If you have Colorado on your schedule, you do not want to play them. And I'm not saying that Colorado is just automatically putting everybody on upset alert, but they looked good, and this is a team that looks like they can get it done in prime time whenever they need to. And prime time, no pun intended, but that's all I'm saying there. You know, this Colorado team looked fantastic. You have Oregon on your schedule. You have USC on your schedule. You have Utah on your schedule still. Those are three teams, and I expected them to be 0-1 entering week 2. So those with that being said, I would highly recommend everybody tuning in to Colorado football this Saturday. They play Nebraska. It's more than likely going to be a pretty good game, but it's going to be exciting to see, man. One of my favorite things about Saturday was that game, and I didn't even get to watch the whole thing. So, but moving on, you have just some headlines for you. Ohio State did not look good by any means. By the way, I want to go ahead and tell you that. And I was not impressed at all. They are going to have to improve on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to have to improve. Their defense looks fantastic. Quarterback needs some work. Brown definitely needs some work, or excuse me, not Brown. McCord definitely needs some work. And it just, when you go out there and you don't look familiar with the offense, it's never a good sign. So you definitely want to improve on that. Their defense looked phenomenal. You got a linebacking core which is phenomenal, by the way. JT Tuimoloau, and then you also have Steele Chambers, and I just butchered his last name. But my favorite part about Big Ten football is not Ohio State. It was what Michigan did. Now, Michigan played some pretty good ball. They blew out their opponent. It was 30-3, I believe. No, I could be wrong. 30-3, I believe was the final score. But they played really well. They showed some signs of progression in their passing game. J.J. McCarthy looked really good. So I'm looking forward to Michigan being pretty good this year. And then another team who looked fantastic that I didn't expect to look fantastic was none other than Texas State. Texas State looked actually really good, and this is a team that went into Waco in Texas. They played Baylor, and they showed Baylor who was boss. Baylor, who is a Power 5 program, mind you, loses to Texas State, who what some people would consider a high school football team. But I tell you what, they did bring in the second most transfers this year. Them and Colorado. Colorado brought in the most transfers, and then it was Texas State. And let me just tell you, wow, because I didn't expect Texas State to do that, but they shocked me. And I remember looking at the score on Saturday and thinking, holy crap, this is happening. I didn't expect it to happen, but it's just one of those things, man. It's college football, and college football will do that to you. It'll make you feel stupid, and that's what it made me do this past weekend. I think I went 5 for 5 on my 10 games. So I didn't do very well, but it'll be all right. We'll take this one on the chin, and we'll move on to the next week. Now Auburn, they played fantastic against UMass. Now, mind you, it is UMass. And then Alabama also knocked off Middle Tennessee State. Played very well, and you had Tennessee knock off Virginia, and Arkansas won as well. And let me just tell you this, for those who don't know, freshman wide receiver Davion Dozier, who came from Moody, Alabama, mind you, a true freshman, came in from Arkansas, was getting snaps in his first game and scored his very first touchdown of his collegiate career. So Davion, congratulations! If you look out for Davion, he's number 88 in the wide receiver room for Arkansas. So he'll be number 88 on the field, as you can see. So if you want to go over there and watch him, great, fantastic. He looked phenomenal on Saturday. Now, there's been a lot of speculation over the past week now I'm going to go back to Colorado or over the past few days. Is Colorado going to be able to hang in there with the rest of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 for the rest of the year? And it's going to be fun to watch, guys. Let me just go ahead and say that. You have Nebraska this upcoming weekend. Now, I'm going to get to my predictions a little bit later and how they're going to do on their schedule a little bit later. But you've got Nebraska coming up this weekend. And, again, it's a big noon kickoff. So that's going to be a fun one. I will not be able to watch the first half of it, but hopefully I'll be able to catch the second half of it. And this is a Colorado team that I'm really expecting to be a pain in the rear window for a lot of teams this year. So some would even say that this team is going to be spicy. And let me tell you about spicy. The spicy biscuit at Chick-fil-A is absolutely delicious. If you want a mouth-watering biscuit, you have the biscuit, the dough, fantastic. It just kind of melts in your mouth. It's amazing, guys. So if you want a spicy chicken biscuit, head on over to the Pell City Chick-fil-A. Like I said, the Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street, and you can get you a spicy chicken biscuit. Now, also, I want to tell you about AIM Mobile Detailing. Now, the thing about AIM Mobile Detailing is amazing. If you want it painted, if you want your vehicle repainted or anything, if you want to reset your vehicle to show room condition, Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail has got you covered with professional grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call him now at 256-458-9949. That's call Tyler Meads now at 256-458-9949 or message him at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. And it's just that simple. I'm actually going to see Tyler within the next few weeks. I'm going to get my truck detailed, and he's going to make it look phenomenal. He just got done detailing a motorcycle. Yes, a motorcycle, and it looked fantastic. So if you want anything done with your any of your vehicles, go over there, take it to him, and he'll get you all right. And somebody else I want to tell you about is Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor. If you need a new lawnmower, a tractor, even if you need an implement, you can go see my friend Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor in the South's best little city of Asheville, Alabama. Got to plug the hometown. Alabama Tractor specializes in Kubota brand machines and equipment, along with other brand items as well. They also have huge parts and service department to keep your machines up and running year in and year out. You can go see Alex and check out their large inventory and ask about their 0% financing. And that is right. You don't find that in a lot of places. Alabama Tractor is located at 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. You can reach Alex at 205-594-7000. Yes, that's 205-594-7000. You can check him out on Facebook at Alabama Tractor in Asheville, Alabama. That is Alabama Tractor in Asheville, Alabama. This past week, huge for college football, huge for absolutely everybody out there who is fans of college football. Casey Phillips says, question for whenever, does Jalen Milroe have a shot to be in the Heisman race? Now, Casey, that's a good question. I don't know, because I look at what he did in week one, and I see an improved quarterback, but I don't see a quarterback that absolutely just pops off the page whenever you read his name. Now, when you're talking about quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Joe Milton. Now, Joe Milton's got to prove himself, obviously. Jalen Milroe is obviously up there in one of the more elite quarterbacks. I do feel like if he does end up being the starting quarterback, but I don't know if I would put him in the Heisman conversation just yet. Anyways, now ask me that in 5 weeks. Ask me that in 4 weeks. Heck, ask me about that after this week when they play Texas, and I will give you a better answer and a more knowledgeable answer and opinion. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and say no and shut that one down. But there is always a chance because it seems like Nick Saban always has a great quarterback and always has the fundamentals around him to make him better, no matter who the quarterback is. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and say no, but it's always open for speculation. So with Jalen Milroe, I would say no for right now. But in this segment, I want to talk to you guys about the Colorado Buffaloes, and I'm going to break down their schedule for this year and tell you just how many wins I think they're going to get. Now, with this past week, it opens up a loophole for college football fans around the country. And when I tell you that, I mean look at Shedeur Sanders. Now look at Dylan Edwards. Look at Travis Hunter. All right, look at Jimmy Horn Jr. Look at I think his first name is Savion Henderson, maybe. I could be wrong on that, but those are some guys that really pop off the screen to me. All right, now they played good this past week. You play a TCU team who is, well, I think we all knew that they weren't going to be great this year. We can go ahead and say that. Now, obviously, you have Chandler Morris, who won the starting quarterback job last year and went down to injury in the Colorado game, actually, and then that paved the way for Max Duggan to make a Heisman run. So, but he comes back this year. You have some other guys coming back. You have one of the best corners in the country in Josh Newton, who was good. But, you've got to have everybody on the same page. And that's what I don't feel like TCU is going to be able to do this year. I don't feel like they're going to have everybody on the same page week in and week out. And I think that is what eventually costs them. And I feel like TCU will probably finish 7-5 or 8-4 this year. But with Colorado, I didn't expect them to be exiting week one with the W. I expected them to be 0-1 this week, returning to Boulder to play Nebraska next week. But I'm going to go ahead and break down some games for you right now and who the winner is for Colorado for the rest of the season. So you start out 1-0 against TCU, which I did not expect. All right, so we'll give you 1-0. You have Nebraska back at home, the first home game of the Deion Sanders era. Coach Prime. I think you win this one. That stadium is going to be cooking. Now it's week one. It's week two. First week at home. First week of the Deion Sanders era. Those fans are going to be rocking, and I don't expect anything less from Colorado than what I've seen this past week. And I think that offense is going to be rolling. Now, mind you, the offensive line and the run game needs a little work, and the defensive line as well. But obviously, I think that all can come into place later down the road. But I think you get the win versus Nebraska in week two, as you're officially going to jump into the top 25, and I'll have a top 25 released later in the week for me. We'll call it the Hayden Coker Show Top 25, and I'll have that release should be by Thursday, possibly Friday. But next, you have Colorado State. Colorado State, obviously, not a great team. They have been the worst team in Colorado since I can't remember. We'll talk about our Division I team in Colorado anyways. I'll take Colorado. I'll take them 3-0. Then you go to Eugene, Oregon, and I think you lose to Oregon in Austin Stadium. That leaves you at 3-1. Then you have USC at home, probably going to drop to 3-2. USC is very good. Now, if they have the offense to hang with USC, that is a different story because USC is going to have some trouble with their defense this year. So I'm going to have you at 3-2. Then you go to Tempe, Arizona State. So you go to Arizona State. I think you win that game. So now you're sitting at 4-2. Then you have Stanford. I think you win that game. You're sitting at 5-2. Then you go have a bye week, and then you're going to come back and you're going to go to LA. You're going to play UCLA, and that is a tough one because I didn't get to watch UCLA. I didn't get to watch UCLA on Saturday, but I'm going to say you drop that game at UCLA. Then you have Oregon State. Now, Oregon State's a good team. They've got an improved defense. You have an improved quarterback coming in DJ Uiagalelei. So that one's going to be a fun one. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to say you win at UCLA, and I think you drop Oregon State. And then I think you I think you beat Arizona, and I think you lose to Arizona, I think you lose to Washington State, and you lose to Utah. So there we have it. I think you lose to Oregon. I think you lose to Oregon, USC. I think you lose to Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah. Now, Washington State's a game up in the air. I think that's a game that they're probably going to be supposed to win, but I think that you end up dropping that game, and you probably end up losing 5 games this year. I had Colorado at 4-8 before week 1. What's up? Colorado goes 6-6, I believe. Kevin, I like it. I've gone 7-5, 6-6 if they lost this past week, but I can't say much. I kind of messed myself up on that one, but it's going to be fun to watch, man. Colorado's going to be fun to a team that's going to be fun to watch this year. Now you have certain aspects of that game that obviously are going to come into play. Their defense is not going to be the best. Their offensive line needs a lot of work, but that's just a team that is just going to have eyes all over them this year. They're going to have so many Big 12 kickoffs, and I meant earlier. I think I said Big 12 kickoff again, or Big Noon kickoff. Nebraska's going to be traveling to Colorado for that game, and that one's going to be fun. And I believe that's a Big Noon kickoff as well. But they're just going to have a lot of eyes on them this year, and I'm going to be locked in on them all season. For one, I think they have one of the better quarterbacks in the Pac-12 in Shedeur Sanders, so he's going to be fantastic. It's just going to be fun to watch. I'm going to go ahead and skip, and I'm going to tell you about A Mobile Detailing with Tyler Meads. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you, he is the main man. Tyler Meads at A Mobile Detail has got you covered with professional-grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements, and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler now at 256-458-9949. That's Tyler Meads at 256-458-9949, or message him at A Mobile Detail on Facebook. And then, now Tyler's doing a great job with his business, and he can wash your vehicles. If you want anything else besides a vehicle, say tractors, maybe lawnmowers, something like that, something along those lines, maybe it's a zero-turn lawnmower. Well, let me tell you that Alex Farmer's got you covered. And let me tell you about his 0% financing. You can go check out Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor. You can call him at 205-594-7000. That's Alex Farmer at 205-594-7000. And check him out on Facebook at Alabama Tractor at AshevilleAlabama.com. And they can get you covered, man. Whether it's a lawnmower, tractor, or an implement, Alex Farmer's got you covered. Best salesman in Asheville, Alabama. When it comes to Alabama Tractor, he can get it done. And now something else that we need to talk about that I would like to go ahead and break down for you is so the University of Alabama played Middle Tennessee State this past weekend. All right, now Jalen Milroe did look much improved. You had the offensive line come together. You had the defensive line. Everything was clicking for Alabama. Now, mind you, it's Middle Tennessee State. My dear friend Slade Alexander, I'm so sorry about the beating this past weekend that Middle Tennessee took. But for those of you who don't know, Slade Alexander transferred from Jacksonville State to Middle Tennessee State, which, by the way, I'm salty about Slade. But they didn't do so well this past weekend. But Jacksonville State did. They beat up on East Tennessee State. And they played well too. I was really excited about that. Mind you, my Jacksonville State merchandise. But Alabama's going to be a fun team to watch this weekend, along with the Texas Longhorns, because you have Quinn Ewers and company coming to T-Town and taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's going to be a 6:30 kickoff, not like the 11 a.m. kickoff that it was last year. But I got to say that I actually really like that. I like the big noon kickoff and everything that the Big Ten does, or excuse me, the Big 12 does with that. That's always so much fun to watch to me, because you get football in the morning, then you have football 2:30, and that big noon kickoff almost always promises you a really good game. But then you have the 2:30 kickoff, and then the 6:30, 7, and then you have Pac-12 after dark. You'll be staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching a team like Washington State play, a team that nobody has any business being up watching, but they just happen to have a good game on it. Whether it's the Apple Cup, Washington and Washington State at the end of the year, it's a good game. So I'm going to stay up and watch it. But that's how college football draws your eyes. They keep you there 24/7 when it comes to a Saturday. But this is going to be an interesting game, because I feel like the Texas Longhorns are not necessarily being looked at enough. Now, Alabama's not either, let me tell you. Jalen Milroe played fantastic this past weekend, and mind you, it is Middle Tennessee State, but they played well, and they're going to come into this week. I think they play well again, but does Texas play a little bit better? I'll let you know a little bit later on in the show. But I'm going to go ahead and give you some of my picks for upcoming for week 2. Now, we have Notre Dame versus NC State. NC State, man, I don't know what happened this past weekend, but they just struggled with UConn. I'm going to take Notre Dame, and the last time I looked, it looked like the line, the spread was like 6.5. If I'm anybody, I'm betting the house on Notre Dame, and I expect them to cover. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame, and then you have Utah and Baylor. Baylor's another team that did not perform well this past weekend, and let me just tell you, if I'm Dave Aranda, oh my goodness, those players are getting a chewing. They're getting a butt chewing, and then they're going to be running because you go out and you lose to a team like Texas State, which nobody. I say nobody. I've read some comments, and some people did say that they saw this coming. So I won't say nobody saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming. TJ Finley, Auburn transfer. He transferred from LSU to Auburn, then Auburn to Texas State. And he actually played really well. He went like 23 of 29, something like that, 280-something yards, 290 yards. Played really well, so I'll give TJ his props, but stay over there. I don't want you back at Auburn. But I think that Baylor is probably going to drop this one again, and I looked at the line, and it was like 4.5 points. I think Utah wins that game, and I think they cover the spread. I don't think Vegas has necessarily caught up to the scores from this past weekend, but I'm going to go with Utah. Then you have Texas A&M and Miami, and buddy, that's going to be a good game. The thing with Texas A&M is that they have the talent. They have the talent to go out there and win a national championship, but they don't have. It seems the last few years they haven't had the coaching. You go out and you win five games last season, 4 games if you don't knock off LSU, which should not have happened. But it's college football and it's going to happen. So, but Texas A&M, they have the talent. Moose Muhammad, look out for him. Evan Stewart, my top 2 guys for that Texas A&M team. Now their defensive line is obviously going to be good. You've got the players, you've got the depth as well. The thing that everybody's talking about. Is Texas A&M going to have the offensive coordinator that they so need? And let me tell you, Bobby Petrino is him. I think he's going to do good. Now, I don't think this Texas A&M team is going to go out there and be world beaters. I don't think they're going to knock off Alabama in whatever week they play them. But I think they're going to be good, and I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to sleep on them. And I think they beat Miami this weekend. So I'm going to take the Aggies in a win not in is it? I think it actually might be in Miami, actually. So I'm going to take Texas A&M over Miami in Miami. Then you have Iowa and Iowa State. It's going to be a fun one, but I'm taking Cade McNamara over. I'm taking Cade McNamara. I need to learn some language there. Over Iowa State. And if you have been paying attention to anything this offseason about betting and college sports, you would know that Iowa and Iowa State have been betting on games. Now, their players have been betting on their own, whether they've taken the under, whether they've predicted them to lose the game. There was a video come out of an Iowa wide receiver. He scored a touchdown and then walked back to the sideline, not necessarily celebrating. I'm going to assume that he did not – he lost his money. And that was what the video that I saw said anyways. But I'm just going to go ahead and assume that. But I'm going to take Iowa over the Cyclones. And then coming in next is Ole Miss versus the Tulane Green Wave. And let me just tell you, Tulane is not a team that needs to be slept on. This is a 24th ranked team in the country. Now, I realize that rankings have not come out yet in the AP poll because you still have Clemson and Duke that need to play tonight. So I expect those to come out by morning. But I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I think that Ole Miss gets it done. Now, it's going to be close. I don't think it'll be a barn burner I don't think it'll be a runaway for Ole Miss or anything. But I do think that Ole Miss wins this game. Now, Ole Miss is a team to look out for this year. And they're a team, in my humble opinion, that I believe could make some noise. And I'm not saying go out there and win a national championship, but you upset Alabama, you upset LSU. Now, LSU, buddy, you looked terrible this past weekend. I'll get into you later. But Ole Miss is just a team that I feel like can pull off some upsets and really, really throw a wrench in college football this year. So, and especially the college football playoff rankings when they start coming out week 7, week 8, week 9, and all of that jazz. But a team that I told you to look out for entering the season was Texas Tech. And maybe I should have bit my tongue because Texas Tech was upset this past weekend. Um, I remember I didn't even realize it until Sunday morning. I was so caught up. I was so busy on Saturday, and I didn't even realize it. I woke up Sunday morning, and then I looked at my phone and saw where Texas Tech had gotten upset. I was like, wait a second, this was not supposed to happen. This is supposed to be a team that's going to compete for the Big 12, and that's empty. Okay, well. I just looked dumb. But I thought Texas Tech was going to be a team that would eventually or that would contend for the Big 12 this year. But then you go out week one and you get upset. That's not what I thought was going to happen, but I guess it's college football and it always happens. So I mean, I won't ask any questions, you know. But they have Oregon, but they play at Texas Tech. Now, could this be? This has the potential to be a very good game. Could it be a good game? Yes. Will it be a good game? I don't know. I think that Oregon wins. I don't necessarily know by how much, but I do think that Oregon wins this game. Bo Nix played phenomenal this past weekend. They absolutely destroyed Portland State 81-7. I get they played Asheville High School, but when a D1 team plays Portland State, it's bound to happen at some point. Kevin Moore says Iowa State wins because of two words: Kirk Ferentz, who always trips up 4 to 5 times a year. And now I will go ahead and give you this. I will go ahead and give you this, Kevin. And I will say this. You are right, because Iowa, it always seems, and by the way, their offense is absolutely atrocious. But I believe that Caden McNamara and company can come in and make it a little bit better than it was last year. But I think the best form of offense last year for Iowa was their punt team. But you're right, man. Every year that I see Iowa, even a few years ago when they started out like 7-0, they were number 2 in the country, and then I think they got upset by Purdue. Maybe I know they got beat bad by them. I specifically remember this social media post. It was on Twitter, and they had I believe it was Purdue. Don't quote me on that, but they beat them, and then their social media team. Remember, Iowa was ranked number 2 at the time. They beat them they beat the crap out of them like 24-3, and then they posted on their social media, we beat the number 2 out of Iowa. I remember seeing that and just laughing. It actually popped up again a few weeks ago, or excuse me, this past week, and I thought it was really funny. But that's the thing with Iowa; they can never really seem to get under that four loss mark. It's always just around that 4 or 5 losses every year. Even last year, though, it seemed like they were terrible, and they still went 7-5. It's just weird, man. And I don't necessarily know why that is, but Ferentz just always seems to somehow screw things up with Iowa. I think my favorite part, or the best run that Iowa's had, was, I believe it was 2013, 2014, 2015 sometime. They made it to the Big Ten championship game, and they ended up losing to Michigan State on like the final drive. And then Michigan State ended up going on to lose that game. Or losing the playoffs. The playoffs. They went on to losing the playoffs, and the infamous Derrick Henry stiff arm was officially born. So that was something for them. That's something that Iowa needs to stay away from, is the playoffs, because I feel like if they ever see that again, it'll probably be a mauling. But moving on, I'm going to go on to Auburn and California. California is an interesting team. You know, you had North Texas over the weekend. You beat them 58-21. Now, I get it's North Texas, but North Texas is not a terrible team. And that's what I think many people need to realize, is that that's not a bad team, but California is also not a bad team either. California can be a good team. I'll say this, a decent team. And I'll just go ahead and say this. California is joining the ACC next year, along with Stanford and SMU. What the ACC saw in those 3 teams, I don't know. I guess they're going with quantity over quality, but I'll just kind of leave that at that. I don't really know what they're thinking, but I think California can actually hang in this game for a little bit, because I think Auburn does win this game. Now, it is at California. They're playing at 9:30 at night, so it may be a little bit different for the Auburn players. Now, that is my main concern for Auburn, is them going in and the time change messing with them, not necessarily the team itself. Because I think that Auburn is more talented than California all around. They're more physically dominant, but is the time change going to get with them? Because this is a team that would be playing at 6:30. This is the team that would be playing at 6:30 over here on the East Coast. But you have a team that's going over to the West Coast and playing at 9:30 over there our time, but 6:30 their time. So it's interesting, but I don't think that it messes with them as much as I think that I believe it's going to, or I'm talking it up to be. I think Auburn actually wins this game, and I think they probably win it around 27-14, 27-10, somewhere around there. But I do not be surprised if this game is close within the final 2 minutes of the game, and it comes down to a final drive, because that's just the team that that's just, I feel like, the caliber of team that this California team could be. But now another Pac-12 team and SEC team face off. You have Arizona and you have Mississippi State. Now, Jaden DeLar coming over from Washington State 2 years ago, he's going to be fun to watch because he was very good at Washington State. He was all right at Washington State. I'll give him that. But he's actually put up some really good numbers while he's been at Arizona. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think he's good, but I don't think they're good enough to knock off this Mississippi State team, especially because they're playing in Mississippi. So I definitely don't think that that's going to be a thing that happens. Now, possibly, yes, but I just don't see it happening, me personally. And for some reason, my flashlight is on. But we'll go Mississippi State and Arizona. Mississippi State's going to win. I don't see Arizona competing in this game, or I do see them competing, but just not. I don't feel like it's going to be close. I'll say that. Now you look into everything further down the road with Arizona, and you see all the Pac-12 teams are playing. Now I think they'll win some there, but I just don't think they're going to be able to knock off Penn State. But right now I'm going to tell you about the spicy biscuit over at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A on Martin Street in Pell City. Phenomenal place if you want to go by, get whatever you want, whether it's a regular chicken biscuit, you want a chicken bowl, but something really, really special and delicious that they have to offer is the spicy chicken biscuit. The spicy chicken biscuit is phenomenal from what I've heard. And ladies and gentlemen, the dough on the biscuit. Now, don't even get me started on it because I can go for days, but it just gets your mouth watering. It's a great biscuit. Now you have the chicken as well in between. It just makes it 10 times better. So if you like a little spice to cook off your morning, if maybe you wake up and you're like, man, I really want something spicy. I'm not a spicy guy, but if you want to, go down to Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street and get you that spicy biscuit. Now, there's a bunch of talk this year around the college football playoffs. Now, my college football playoff predictions were number 1, Georgia, number 2, Michigan, number 3, I believe number 3 I had Washington. I had Washington at number 3, and then who did I have at number 4? I don't even know. I'll have to go back. I have to go back and look. Let me look here, see. Wow, did I really forget? That is insane. Oh, well, you know what? We'll just roll with it. I forgot my college football playoff predictions, ladies and gentlemen. That is just the type of day it has been for Hayden Coker. But it's going to be a fun year for college football, man. And I think my favorite part about this past weekend, I told you it was Colorado and them just absolutely confusing the minds of college football fans around the world. Coach Dion coached his butt off. I'll give it to him. The offense played really well. Now that defense is going to have to step up because you're going to face some offenses that are just going to be too good. And this past weekend, TCU gave them all they wanted, and then some. You were down 42-38 going into the. I believe it was 7 minutes left. And then you score. It was 4th and 2 at midfield. You have a little breaks away for a little wheel route. You had Dylan Edwards. He caught it, takes it 50 yards for the touchdown. And what would end up being his third touchdown of the game. And the rest is history. Fourth touchdown of the game. And the rest is history. Dylan Edwards is actually a fantastic running back. And I would like for people to look out for him a little bit more. He did not transfer in, by the way. He came from high school as a 5-star recruit. So if you're looking for a fun team to watch every Saturday that is not your team, look no further than the Colorado Buffaloes because they're going to be must-watch football every single Saturday. And I actually have a performer of the week, and I'll get to that in just a second. Hey, Brad, and I want to ask you a question real quick. This weekend you got Texas and Alabama. Well, I don't care what you got in your hand. You got Texas and Alabama. Who you got?
Roll Tide.
If you didn't hear me, you said Roll Tide. And I do need to get that prediction, actually. I'm going to tell you here in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you about Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail. And you can Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail is fantastic when it comes to detailing any kind of vehicle you have. He's got you covered with professional grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler now at 256-458-9949 or message him at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. Call him now at 256-458-9949. That is Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail. And then also, you have Alex Former at Alabama Tractor. They specialize in a Kubota brand machines and equipment, along with other brand items as well. If you'd like a new lawnmower, a new tractor, or maybe even some implements or some parts, whatever you need, you can go check it out. Alex at Alabama Tractor in Asheville, Alabama. They got a large inventory, and you can ask about their 0% financing. They'll get everything done for you, and they'll get you out of there smiling more than you were when you walked in, because you're like, oh, man, I've got to drop some money. I'm not excited. I've got to spend some money on a new part. I've got to get a new tractor because mine just quit working. Or heck, maybe even your blades fall off of a lawnmower. And Brad, I know you remember this. Maybe a wheel falls off your lawnmower and you break an axle or two. But my dad ended up goofing up a few weeks ago, messing up the lawnmower, so we had to go in. And of course, he's frowning when you go in, but then when you walk out, 0% finance. If you need a tractor or whatever you need, if you need a new part, Alex Farmer has got you covered at Alabama Tractor. You can go see him at it's located in Asheville, Alabama at 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. You can contact Alex at 205-594-7000. That's 205-594-7000, or visit them on Facebook at Alabama Tractor in Asheville, Alabama, and you can get everything you need done. Now, Alex Farmer, thank you for the sponsor. Thank you, Alex Farmer and Alabama Tractor. Thank you, J&K Tires. Kurt, I appreciate that. Thank you, Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detailing. And thank you to Chick-fil-A in Pell City for sponsoring the show. It is highly appreciated, and we will not let you down. We'll get everybody over there, get whether it's a biscuit that you want from Chick-fil-A, whether you need your rotors and brakes done at J&K Tire, because I'm actually going to get new rotors and brake pads tomorrow at J&K Tire. Whether you need a new part for your lawnmower, or hey, Brad, I know Dad's got some equipment over there at the barn. Maybe he needs something for a tractor. He can go over there and he can get him something. But also, let me tell you about Tyler Meads, because he can get you done as well. You need something done, cleaned up, he's got you. Brad, one more pick for you. Come here. I'm going to bring my brother in. He's going to make one more pick. Now, Coach Prime. Yes, I know you have something in your hand. Coach Prime, Brad. Do you know who I'm talking about when I say Coach Prime?
Yes.
Who is it?
Deion Sanders.
Congratulations. I didn't think you know that. So they actually go back to Boulder, Colorado this next weekend, and they take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Who do you think is going to win?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. All right. Well, you know what? Just say Colorado. How about that? You'll be 1-0 on special guest appearances.
What?
You'll be 1-0 on special guest appearances, man.
Colorado.
There you go. See, Colorado. He knows that Colorado's legit this year. Deion Sanders has got him going so far. But for my next segment, I'm going to pick Alabama, and I'm going to pick Alabama in your Hayden Coker Show Game of the Week, brought to you by AIM Mobile Detailing. That is Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail. You can call him now at 256-458-9949 for all your paint enhancements, ceramic coatings, and corrections. So the Hayden Coker Show Game of the Week, brought to you by AIM Mobile Detail, is the Texas Longhorns and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Texas goes to Tuscaloosa this weekend. Now it's going to be rocking. Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to be rocking, and a little shot at Texas this past year. last year, Texas made Alabama's band sit up in the second deck. So they ended up not even taking Alabama's band. But this year, Alabama has done the same exact thing to Texas. They have forced their band to sit in the second deck, in the upper deck, in the nosebleeds. And I don't even know if Texas band is going. I guess we'll find out Saturday. But that's just an interesting aspect. This very well could be a rivalry within the next few years. You have Texas, who talked some smack last year, had their stadium, put their band in the upper deck, and then you have this year Alabama returning the favor. And then I already know that there's going to be a bunch of I already know it's going to be very chippy on the field Saturday, so I'm going to be ready for that. But here we go. I'm going to make my prediction. Texas coming in 1-0 on the season after a big win in week 1. Alabama coming in with a big win in week 1. Both teams are 1-0. Now, Texas has got a lot to prove to me this year. Now, I think this game is huge for them. You look at last year and what they did. Nobody expected Texas to be in the game in the first place. Now, after the game was over, immediately, Alabama fans stood up, or Alabama players stood up. They did the horns down, which props to you, Alabama. I would have done the same thing if I was in your position probably. And then you had the infamous quote from Nick Saban saying, "Don't do that." And I won't say the next word because I don't want to upset my sponsors. But that is something that I feel like has fueled this Texas team. They're going to come into Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday at 6:30, and they're going to walk out of Bryant-Denny Stadium at around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and they're going to have a W in their hands. Texas, the Longhorns are going to start out 2-0 on the season. And Alabama's going to be staying home with 1-1. But that is not going to be it for Alabama on the season, because I think you win out and win the SEC West, and especially with LSU's poor performance on Sunday night, I definitely think that you win the SEC West now. I get it's week 1. But Texas is going to win week 2. Alabama versus Texas. Texas gets a win, and they go home happy. Alabama, they stay, but you win the SEC West. My future prediction. Take with it what you will, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hayden Coker from the Hayden Coker Show. Y'all have a fantastic Sunday night, and y'all have a great week. It's Sunday. It's not Sunday night, Brad. It's Labor Day. I didn't realize that. It's Labor Day. It's Monday night. Y'all have a great rest of your Monday night and have a short work week. Thank you, everybody. Take care and have a